welcome to Intermission at Folk Night at the Registry. I'm Jan Vanderhorst, and now we get to spend a few minutes with our guests, Connie Kaldor and Aleksi Campagne. Welcome to Folk Night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, first of all, there are some congratulations due, because Connie recently were nominated for a Canadian Folk Music Award for Solo Artist of the Year.
Holy heck, there you go. Yes, yeah, I'm always astounded at these things because they just seem to come out of nowhere, but I mean, there you go. I'm happy. This is my community, and to be recognized like that it's meaningful.
Yeah. And Aleksi, you started off the year really good because you were chosen as a new discovery of the year for the Penguin Eggs Roots Music Canada Critics Poll. So that must have been a nice confidence boost for you.
Yes, yeah, it's been quite a year. Quite a year this year. I got to play a lot of shows. I got to go to the CFMAs as well, and so.
And you won.
What? I did, which was really exciting. But it feels great to be able to come here and play with Connie and everything. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, Connie, Keep Going is your 18th album in a career that has spanned 45 years. How has your motivation for songwriting changed throughout those years?
Well, there's a part of me that just can't help it. That part has always been the same. But I just write because my brain does that sort of thing. And because it's pleasurable and fun, it's the thing you do that's your own thing. And especially when you get older and your mothers or parents, it's always my own thing. It's my own little thing. So that's great. I don't know. There's always a need for music, and there's always. I think it's important now as a songwriter to keep writing because, in some ways, when I started out, there was, you're breaking down a lot of boundaries. There weren't many female singer-songwriters. There weren't many female writers. Period. There was a small group of us, and we were Canadian as well. So it's like. And I was writing about the prairies that nobody ever wrote about. So there was all this need to say something about where I was from, who I was, speak for women, speak for people from the West, all of those things. There were all these stories and all these songs that had never been written and sung. So that was wonderful to have that whole, that inspiration and that need. And when you write a song that nobody's sung, I wrote Jerks, I remember, and I think, Jerks is a fun song. You're the capital Gay. I get out and sang it for the first time, and the audience went bananas. The women, of course, in the audience went bananas. And you realize, this is an important thing. It's something I feel, but it's something that I'm expressing for others. And now I feel even yet, like you think, at this point of my career, maybe I should just coast. But one, I think it's really important to be creative all the time. And two, now I am writing about what it's like to be me in this age, what it's like to be women who are, when you get older, you're there's a wonderful line in one of the television shows called Matlock, well, as an older woman, you just disappear. Well, as a woman when I first started out, we just disappeared in a way. So now it's like me going, and these are concerns, and they're human concerns too. They're, they're concerns about humanity in general, but, I felt most of the time I've been writing about things about women's lives and stuff because there aren't a lot of songs like that, and that's the motivation to write. And I think too that there's always something to sing about. There's always something to write about. And right now I've been in the last little while just writing about the West and trying to gather songs about the West because I look at the strength and the amazing songs that come from Newfoundland that define the Newfoundlander. The Maritimes, and all these songs about place and time and who they are, the Maritimers. And I see Quebec, which has a schwackload of songs, ribald and otherwise, that describe who they are, that help set them up, that talk about the place, that celebrate the good and the bad and the wonderful of this place. And I'm from the prairies, and there's not enough songs that do that. One of the inspirations for one of the choral pieces I just wrote was I showed a picture of the Grasslands National Park, which I just love. It's just this beautiful, virgin prairie. It's rough and it's raw and it's gorgeous. And somebody said, Kaldor, only you could love that. And I thought, them's fighting words. And I thought, I want to show people why this part of the world that I'm from and that I spend a lot of time in, now we have a farm in Saskatchewan, and why I want to celebrate this part of the world. I want to celebrate this country. This country too is young, and to have songs that shape it and that make people feel proud of where they're from, or make people recognize the beauty of a simple horizon line or something like that. To me, that's part of what drives me, I suppose, just from as a Westerner too.
Right. Now, Aleksi, your debut album is a double disc, For the Giving, Sans Rien Donné, 10 songs sung in English, the same songs sung in French. What was the reasoning behind presenting your music in that format?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. Mainly, it was really important for me. I grew up in a bilingual house, and Connie sang primarily in English, and then my dad sang in French in a band called Heart Rouge, and so I had a bit of a hard time choosing what I was gonna write in, and I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to present kind of multiple versions of a song, and I didn't know that I was going to be able to do it. But then I got help from my family as well. My aunt Michelle Campagne helped me translate the songs, and it kind of developed over the course of making this album, and I've discovered a lot of really great things for me, for my self-expression. I think it's really cool to be able to present the two songs right away and release them at the same time, because people always talk about what's kind of lost in translation, or how they focus in on what's different. But when you don't have an original quote-unquote version, they're both presented equally. You actually get a lot more when you understand both versions.
Some of the versions in French, like I noticed, like when I'm listening to the French, some of the turns of phrase I think are really fabulous. Like there's different things in each version that are really rich.
When you're translating music, you're not just directly translating, you're considering the melody, the harmony, the rhythm of the words, the emphasis of the words, the expression. Sometimes you're finding a new expression to say the same thing, or a new metaphor, a different imagery. And so what you end up getting is you get kind of multiple perspectives on the same story, which is really very interesting. And I think it's kind of new in music. I think music is an art form that's experienced over time. And so now this is something that you actually have, two temporal elements that both are referencing the same story, which I find really interesting. And it really enriches the experience for anyone who's bilingual, which I think there's a lot of people in this country who are bilingual who don't necessarily get that much material for them. A lot of the times it's either or it's French or English, and so I think bilingualism is great and important to promote. So.
Right. Now, Connie, over the years, you've joked about how you gave birth to your own band, Aleksi and Gabrielle.
Yeah, there you go. What a Canadian folk singer, female singer, has to do to get a band in this country. It's a long game. It's the long game.
Right. Did you ever discourage them from getting into music professionally?
No, because they're just so good. And they, you don't want to discourage anything that's creative with, if they find something. It's not like we forced them to learn. They were, if they found an interest in something, they had to learn an instrument. That's the only thing we said. Whatever the instrument is, you choose. And they both chose violin, and then voice and all of those things. But they're surrounded by it, I suppose, in that way. The family all sang. We sing at Christmas. Everyone in the family is a singer of some sort or another. And I think that's why singing was important. And, we've had a farm fest for 10 years, and all of their cousins now are getting acts together. And I think first of all, it's just a way of communicating, and it's fun. And it's part of who we are as a family. I think music is just all around. And I would never discourage anybody from pursuing some creative endeavor, you worry because the music industry is just like, it's the Wild West out there. Who's making money? There's every opportunity as an independent to survive and to monetize whatever you're doing is now being dragged away. But there's, it was the same way when we started in certain respect. You couldn't make a record without a record company. And then all of a sudden independents started coming along. And now, I'm just hoping that they'll find a way to be able to keep going, because part of what you want as a parent, you see them grow. And for me, I'm just grateful that they're doing something that I understand, because then I can understand just how extraordinary it is that he is sitting there playing and singing at the same time. That's something I've never really seen to the skill. If I wasn't a musician, I wouldn't understand just how extraordinary that is. Because they make it look easy, and that's the sign of a master of whatever craft you are. He makes it look easy.
Right.
It's like playing and singing. Hopefully you make it look easy. But I am I love being astounded. I love being astounded when he comes up with a song or a great line. Gabrielle comes up with, those are the great moments in a person's life when your children surprise you, when they astound you. But, whatever they decided they wanted to do, and, the life's a long time, the world's, it's disheartening to see how the music industry seems to be eating away at the independent. That's disheartening. And I think it's disheartening to see how, what's happening business-wise and all of those things. But it's always been disheartening. There's always been disheartening parts about the music industry and its radio shows and its crowds and it's the folk music scene that has these people that love the music and give and volunteer and put you, all of those things kind of balance that out, I think, in the long run. So being an independent may not, as they used to say, you may not make a killing, but you'll make a living. Being an independent is difficult, but on the flip side, you get, first of all, to do the music you love, which I think is always a privilege. It's not something you automatically get. And there are many women 20 years older than me that didn't even get that opportunity. So I am grateful that I've been able to keep this as a living, as that I've been able to make my living as a musician and keep creating on a regular basis. But and that's what I hope for them, that they get to continue to grow. And they start out at both of them started out, Aleksi especially, started out at such a high level of skill, of experience, of understanding, of hearing music, of being exposed to music. And that's what you want. You want them to go beyond where you are. That's the gig, man. That is the gig. Get them going and see them reach places you'd never even dreamed of going.
Right.
That's it for me anyway.
You maybe would have found it weird if I'd gone into law, though.
Well, yeah, either that or I don't know. Dentistry. I was hoping for dentistry.
Oh yeah.
Well, you could have done anything. Somebody who did well at school, you could have done that. Like I did well at school, I could have done anything. But this is a path that is constantly challenging and constantly interesting, right? And there's times when you wish it was a little less challenging, right? A little bit, maybe a little bit more sleep the night before, but but hey, the privilege of standing in front of an audience and playing and performing.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
It is wonderful, and it's connecting you to humanity in a way, and I think these days I am so grateful there's a way to connect with people and that people want to connect with you. Live is the lifeblood, and that's exactly the way it should be. This is, that's the privilege.
Right.
That's the privilege when people come to your show and connect with you on some visceral level. I think it's that.
Right.
And it's what makes you feel like you're actually doing your job. And it also is, that's such a human thing. Such a wondrously human thing.
Right. We are all out of time. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm yakking too
That's all
much.
right.
Talk to him more. He's so amazing.
Just more things for Brad to edit later on.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you very much for your time, and it's time now for the second half of the show.